On the night before my wedding, my friends threw me a bachelor party. Halfway through, my friend Mason Reed gave me a suggestive look and said, "We've got something even hotter planned, and we booked 3 strippers for you so you can have one last wild night before marriage." I shook my head and refused. "You guys have fun. I can't do anything that would hurt my fiancé." But Mason said to me, "You're way too old-fashioned. Yesterday, my friend hooked up with a woman who was about to get married, and she was crazy in bed." As he spoke, Mason took out his phone and showed me his chat messages with that woman. I froze. That woman's profile picture was exactly the same as my fiancé's. I forced myself to control my emotions and acted like nothing had happened. The next day, the wedding went on as planned. Smiling, I walked onto the stage with my fiancé on my arm, then pressed the remote. On the big screen, the chat records, audio recordings, and videos were all there. The whole room exploded. I looked at the screen of Mason's phone, and in a gaming group chat, a man was bragging about his one-night stand. A woman about to get married is seriously wild. I love this kind, mature and forward. I looked at the woman's profile picture and wondered why it looked so familiar. I snatched the phone out of my friend's hand. I zoomed in on the screenshot. It showed a chat between a man and a woman. "You're getting married tomorrow, and I really can't bear to let you go. Then come see me tonight." "What am I coming to see you for? Aren't you afraid your husband will find out?" "What kind of husband is he to me? The wedding hasn't happened yet, so I'm still yours. Whenever I think about getting married, I get anxious, so come keep me company." Attached after that were a few blurry chest photos with no face shown. Coincidentally, the woman's profile picture was half of a heart. It was exactly the same as my fiancée Chloe Bennett's profile picture. I remembered that she had been the one who suggested we use the same profile picture. Mason, sitting beside me, did not notice that something was wrong with me. "Look, this woman's getting married tomorrow, the same day as you. But she's still hooking up with her ex the night before the wedding. What a slut, haha." I pretended to stay calm and said nothing. Then I walked to the restroom and called Chloe. The phone rang several times, but no one answered. My heart tightened. The woman Mason had just shown me, the one actively cheating and flirting with her ex, could not really be Chloe, could it? Finally, the call went through. I listened to the voice on the other end of the phone and let out a long breath, thinking maybe it really was just a coincidence. Plenty of people used the same social media profile picture, and plenty of people got married on the same day. How could I suspect someone who was about to become my legal wife? Besides, Chloe's family were all very conservative Christians. Her whole family was against sex before marriage. Even on the night of our engagement, when I wanted to get intimate, she refused me and insisted on giving herself to me completely on our wedding night. How could I suspect her? I was such a jerk. "It's nothing, I just missed you. Is your room all set up?" I asked her with a guilty conscience. I did not dare tell her the gossip I had just heard. Otherwise, as smart as she was, she would definitely guess why I had called. "It's almost all cleaned up." What's wrong? Are you okay?" I asked nervously. I'm fine. I accidentally bumped into the cabinet. "If there's nothing else, hang up, okay? Don't you have to get up early tomorrow to pick me up? Don't be late." "Don't worry, I definitely won't be late. You should also get some rest." I had just finished speaking. On Chloe's end, she hung up on me in a hurry. I had originally wanted to be sweet with her for a couple more sentences. Forget it, she had been busy for days, so she must have been tired too. After I came out of the restroom, my buddy saw I seemed fine and started yelling at me again. Come look, this is so damn exciting." That guy posted something even crazier in the group. Mason shoved his phone in front of my eyes. There was a new chat on it. "This is so exciting and feels so damn good." My ex-girlfriend and I were right in the middle of it when her husband suddenly called, and it almost scared the hell out of me. But my ex-girlfriend is seriously badass. She didn't let him notice anything was wrong at all. My ex-girlfriend was wearing a wedding dress and talking to her own husband on the phone while she was under me. And damn, that felt incredible, haha. Looking at that string of laughing emojis, I felt a wave of rage I could not hold back shoot straight to my head. Chloe's voice had sounded off for a split second just now. I had not thought much of it at first. But at this moment, this man with the username Kyle Harding was bragging in the group and describing the scene in real time, so I had no choice but to suspect it. The female lead was Chloe, the woman who was about to marry me. Damn bro, that's insane. I'm so jealous, man. Can you start a live stream? So jealous, start a live stream and let us see. Good things are meant to be shared. In just a minute or two, the people in the group had already started egging him on. No, I could not just sit there and wait. Blind guessing was useless. I had to confirm whether the woman cheating on the night before her wedding was Chloe or not. Otherwise, tomorrow's wedding could not happen. Idiot, you're just talking out of your ass, aren't you? After I sent that sentence, the entire screen full of envy paused instantly. I waited a little while. Kyle Harding finally saw it. Bro, are you just bitter because you can't have it? I can understand if you're jealous and resentful, but if you're cursing me out, are you insane? It's not like I fucked your wife. That one sentence hit me right where it hurt. The person he might have fucked really could be my wife. But it also might not be. The reason I cursed at him was to confirm it. On my end, I was gritting my teeth so hard that I bit red marks into my lip. Mason finally realized something was wrong. He looked at the line in the group that said, "Did I fuck your wife?" Then he turned and looked at me. "Shit, it's not really your fiancé, is it?" He did not dare keep going. Then he quickly added, No way, Ethan. We must be overthinking it. Whether or not it's Chloe, we can just confirm it." My eyes were bloodshot, and I looked at him with something almost savage in my face. Then I quickly lowered my head and started typing on the phone. "Idiot, just because you say you're fucking someone else's wife, are we supposed to believe you? I think you're just bluffing, acting all by yourself, chasing attention, and enjoying praise from people who don't know the truth. Is that fun?" I needed to provoke him and make him reveal key proof. And then, snap, he really threw a photo straight into the group. Idiot, see if I'm lying or not. I ignored his insults and quickly tapped the photo with my finger, enlarging it. The photo showed only a back. Not even the head was in the shot. She was indeed wearing a wedding dress. And the hem of the wedding dress had already been lifted up onto her back. It was easy to imagine what had just happened, or what was currently happening. I zoomed in and searched bit by bit, but I found no useful information. So I kept provoking him. "Idiot, I can tell you're not bragging. But you don't even dare photograph the back of her head, so how am I supposed to know whether the broad back under you belongs to some huge dude from the front? Haha." After I said that, the people in the group started blindly stirring things up too. "Exactly, bro, what kind of photo is this? We can't even tell if it's a man or a woman. You're not really bragging, are you? Could it be an AI picture, haha? Record a video, record a video. We want to see a live video." The situation completely got out of control. "Shut the fuck up, all of you. Did you all eat shit with those mouths? Believe it or don't, I don't care." A few seconds later, he still could not help but tag me in the group. "No bro, something's off about you. I feel like you've been provoking me this whole time. Fuck, did I really fuck your wife? Or do you know my girlfriend?" I did not reply right away and slowed myself down. I knew he was starting to panic too. After all, this was a local group. Even if most people did not know each other, there was always a chance that someone nearby might recognize someone. Who could stay calm and not be afraid when it felt like you had been caught by the actual partner while seducing someone in a relationship? "Bro, why aren't you talking? Do you really know my ex-girlfriend?" Seeing that I had achieved my goal, I stopped scaring him. "You're overthinking it. I'm just from out of town and here to clear my head." I joined a random group because I wanted locals nearby to recommend good food and fun places, but who knew I'd run into you bragging? While I kept him steady in the group, I privately added him as a friend. What if he left the group and ran off in a bit? The notification sounded quickly. "The other party rejected your friend request." Rejected? I added him again and attached a note. "Accept it, or I'll call the police and report you for spreading a woman's private photos, and you won't get away." This time, that man accepted my friend request very quickly. "Bro, what exactly do you want?" He asked me directly in the private chat. "Don't overthink it. I'm just curious. If I don't see what your girlfriend looks like, I really won't be able to sleep tonight. You don't need to be scared either. I'm really not local, so there's no way I know you or the bride under you. If you don't believe me, you can check my Insta posts and see if you recognize me." I waited for a while, but the other side never replied. I guess they had really gone to look through my posts. But I was not afraid because the account and phone both belonged to Mason. They would not find anything useful. Besides, there was another point. They definitely would not dare make a big deal out of this. So they could not run anymore. "I can't let you see my ex-girlfriend's face. Ask for something else." The fish had taken the bait. "Bro, that's kind of stingy. You're enjoying something that good yourself, and you won't even let someone else take a look? Ask for something else, or if you want a woman, I'll pay to get you the best escort in town. How about that?" How can a paid escort be as exciting as your bride? "Fine, if you won't show her face, take a full body shot so I can at least see her figure and satisfy my craving." Even if I could not see her face, as long as it was Chloe, I would be able to confirm it through other features. Snap! A full body photo was sent over, showing her from the back. I immediately zoomed in on the back of her head, because there was a mark there that could confirm whether she was Chloe. In the end, I really found it. I zoomed in on the photo and looked again and again. I could not help kicking the stool beside my foot away. The heart-shaped red mole behind her ear was so glaring. If having the same profile picture could be a coincidence. If the strange sound she made during the phone call could be argued away. Then this photo was ironclad proof. Chloe Bennett, the woman who was going to have a wedding with me in just a few hours, had cheated. I took out my phone. I wanted to FaceTime her. I wanted to ask her how she could be so shameless. But just as I was about to dial, Mason suddenly grabbed my hand. Ethan, what are you doing? What am I doing? What do you think I'm doing? I want to kill someone. I want to go kill the bastard who fucked my fiancée right now, and while I'm at it, kill that bitch Chloe too. After saying those two vicious lines, it was like all the energy in my body had been drained dry. I knocked something behind me over. I collapsed to the floor. I covered my face, and tears kept pouring down. My fiancé cheated. My fiancé cheated. I had truly never imagined something like this would happen to me. Just dozens of minutes ago, I had still been imagining tomorrow's romantic scene. Now everything was destroyed. Everything was gone. Mason patted my shoulder. He said nothing, but he still helped me come back to my senses. The wedding would be held in just a few hours, and I had to make a decision. I owed my parents, relatives, and friends some kind of explanation. But as for that bitch Chloe, I would never take her back. Since she was this shameless, I would give her exactly what she deserved. Let me use your phone again. I reached my hand out to Mason. Seeing that I had calmed down, he did not hesitate. He handed it over directly. I opened the chat box with Kyle Harding and started typing. Bro, I can tell from her back that your girlfriend is top tier. Talk it over with her. How much would it cost to let me have a turn? I wanted to catch them in the act. I wanted to nail Chloe down completely. Are you sick? You wanted to see the photo, and I showed it to you. Now you want a turn too? Do you really think I'm some idiot you can mess with? $10,000 to let me have a turn, or I'll post your business online. You two choose. I'm just here to travel and clear my head. If you agree and I have fun tonight, I'll get in a car and leave afterward. In the future, none of us will see each other again, and none of us will know each other, so don't worry. The other side stopped replying again. I did not know whether Chloe disagreed, or whether they were scared, but they no longer had a choice. I think the bride beside you probably doesn't want her business exposed either. Even if it's only a back view, people who know her can still recognize her, don't you think? I was threatening them. I was betting that they did not want to make this bigger. Then I directly transferred $10,000 to him. Bear in room 520. I hope you keep your promise and get lost right after you're done. The air inside Mason's car smelled of stale takeout and ozone from the blasted air conditioner. My hands were clamped around the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned the color of dry bone. Beside me, Mason held his phone with both hands, his thumb hovering over the screen, looking at me like he was riding shotgun with a suicide bomber. Ethan, listen to me, Mason said, his voice dropping into an urgent whisper as we pulled into the alley adjacent to the Bear Inn. If we go in there blind, you're going to lose your head. You hit that guy, he calls the cops, you're the one who ends up in a holding cell on your wedding morning. Is that what you want? I'm not going to hit him, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded flat, metallic, devoid of moisture. Hit him and it's an assault charge. Hit him and she plays the victim. She'll tell her religious nut of a mother that I went crazy, had a mental breakdown and made it all up. Then what are we doing? We're buying the ticket, I said, staring up at the yellowing sign of the Bear Inn. It was a 3-story, cheap brick eyesore tucked behind a strip club and an auto repair shop. The kind of place that didn't ask for a driver's license if you paid in cash, where the carpets were sticky and the front desk clerk was perpetually looking at something else. I pulled out my phone and checked the bank transfer status. The $10,000 had cleared into Kyle Harding's account 3 minutes ago. A text popped up on Mason's phone from Kyle. Cash confirmed. Doors unlocked. You've got 20 minutes. Make it quick, don't show your face and don't make a fucking sound. If she panics, I'm locking you out. He's using her, Mason muttered, disgust thick in his mouth. He's literally selling her out for 10 grand. She's in on it, I corrected cold-bloodedly. Or she doesn't care as long as he's the one holding the leash. I took a deep breath, unbuckled my seatbelt, and pulled a low-profile black baseball cap down over my brow. From my pocket, I pulled out a small, high-definition clip-on camera, an action cam Mason used for his track days, and fastened it subtly to the strap of my dark jacket. I handed my personal phone to Mason. Stay in the car. Keep the engine running. Stream the feed from this camera directly to your laptop and back it up to 3 separate cloud drives. If I'm not out in 15 minutes, you call the manager, not the police. We control the narrative. Understand? Mason looked at me, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and terror. Ethan, you're terrifying right now. I'm not terrifying, Mason, I whispered, opening the door. I'm dead. The guy who was getting married tomorrow died 20 minutes ago. The lobby of the Bear Inn smelled like damp bleach and industrial carpet. Cleaner. The night clerk barely raised his eyes from an iPad playing a muted soap opera as I walked past the desk and headed straight for the stairwell. Room 520 was at the far end of the 5th floor corridor. The wallpaper was peeling near the baseboards, exposing water-stained drywall underneath. I stopped outside the heavy wooden door marked 520. I leaned my ear against the wood. At first, there was only the low hum of an outdated air conditioning unit. Then came a sharp, recognizable laugh. It was Chloe's laugh. Not the sweet, refined giggles she gave at family dinners, nor the soft, hesitant chuckle she used when her father prayed over the Sunday roast. It was a throat-heavy, uninhibited, mocking laugh. "He's so stupid, Kyle." Her voice drifted through the thin wood frame carrying, crisp and clear through the quiet hallway. "He called me earlier sounding like a kicked puppy. Is your room all set up? I miss you." I almost burst out, laughing right into the mic. "You should have let him hear you moan, babe," a man's voice replied. Kyle. That would have broken his tiny little heart. "Shut up," Chloe hissed, though there was no real anger in it. "He's paying for the wedding, he's paying off my car, and his parents are putting the down payment on the house in North Hills next week. Once the papers are signed, I don't care what he finds out. But until tomorrow afternoon, you keep your big mouth shut. Hey, I'm getting 10 grand tonight from some rich pervert in that local chat." Kyle laughed. "That covers my cruise ticket to Cabo. You sure you don't want a piece of it?" "Just get it over with," Chloe grumbled. "Make him stand in the dark. If he tries to touch my face, tell him you'll smash his head in. I don't want some weirdo looking at me." Standing in the hallway, every drop of blood in my body felt like it was freezing into jagged ice crystals. She wasn't being coerced. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't confused. She was calculating. Every touch, every pure refusal over the last 2 years, every soft sermon from her mother about the sanctity of the bridal bed. It was all an elaborate, cold-blooded scam designed to secure my family's money while she kept her real life in the gutters with Kyle Harding. I reached out, took the brass handle, and turned it slowly. The latch clicked softly. The door swung open. The room was dimly lit, illuminated only by the sickly amber glow of a street lamp bleeding through dirty sheer curtains and the blue light of a TV playing on mute. Kyle Harding was standing near the foot of the bed, wearing only a pair of faded jeans, holding a beer bottle. On the edge of the bed sat Chloe. She was wearing her actual white rehearsal reception dress, a lace, open-back gown that my mother had spent $4,000 buying for her 3 weeks ago. The back of the gown was unzipped, hanging loosely off her shoulders, revealing the smooth skin where the heart-shaped mole sat nestled behind her left ear. When the door pushed open, Kyle took a step forward, trying to puff out his chest to look intimidating. "All right, man," Kyle said, his voice cocky, waving the beer bottle toward the shadowed corner near the door. "Rules are rules. Keep your distance, keep your hands off her face," and I didn't answer. I stepped into the room, slid my hand behind me, and quietly locked the deadbolt. Then I reached up and pulled off the baseball cap, stepping directly into the beam of light cast by the television screen. The words died in Kyle's throat. Chloe's head snapped toward me. The mocking smirk on her face vanished so fast. It looked like her skin had been slapped off. Her eyes dilated until they were almost entirely black, her lips parting in a soundless, horrified gasp. Ethan," she choked out. Her hands scrambled frantically behind her, trying to pull the lace dress back up over her chest. "Ethan, what are you doing here? How did you?" She looked at me, then her gaze flicked to Kyle, then to the phone sitting on the nightstand showing the open group chat. The dots connected in her brain with the speed of a house fire. "You," Chloe whispered, her face draining of every drop of color until she looked like a corpse wrapped in white silk. "The $10,000. The chat." Kyle dropped his beer bottle. It hit the thin carpet with a dull thud, spilling dark foam across the floorboards. "Shit," he muttered, taking 2 steps back toward the window. "Bro, listen, I didn't know." "Shut up, Kyle," I said. My voice was terrifyingly calm. I didn't shout. I didn't rush him. I didn't throw a punch. I just stood by the door, adjusting the clip-on camera on my chest so that it was angled perfectly toward the bed. "Ethan, baby, please." Chloe scrambled off the bed, stumbling over the hem of her dress. She rushed toward me, tears welling in her eyes with instantaneous, practiced ease. "It's not what it looks like. He forced me. He threatened to leak old photos of me if I didn't come here tonight. I had to come, Ethan. I was trying to protect us. Protect our wedding." She reached out to grab my arm, her hands trembling, her face twisted in an expression of desperate, innocent agony. 2 hours ago, that look would have torn my heart into pieces. 2 hours ago, I would have burned the world down to save her from whatever threatened her. Now, looking at her eyes, I saw only a skilled actress running her favorite script. I stepped back, dodging her touch as if she were covered in venom. "You were protecting us?" I asked softly, glancing down at the camera, making sure the audio was picking up every single word. "By telling him how stupid I am. By telling him my family is paying for your car and your house while you let Him lift up your wedding dress. Chloe froze. Her fake tears sputtered, caught in her throat. You heard, she whispered. Every word, I said. The stream is live. It's saved on 3 secure servers. Right now. Kyle's face went wild with panic. Hey, you can't record us. That's illegal. I'll call the fucking cops. Call them. I turned my cold gaze onto Kyle. Let's bring the police here right now. We can discuss the $10,000 you extorted from me under false pretenses, the illegal distribution of intimate images in a public forum, and the conspiracy to commit grand larceny regarding my family's property. Go ahead. Pull out your phone. Kyle's hand hovered over his pocket, but he didn't move. He wasn't stupid enough to bring law enforcement into his unsavory life. He looked at Chloe, his bravado completely evaporated. I'm out of this. This is your mess, Chloe. Kyle, don't you dare leave me. Chloe shrieked, her pristine facade cracking completely, revealing the hideous, ugly, panicking creature beneath. He's leaving, Chloe, I said quietly. And you're staying right here to listen to what happens next. I stepped aside, leaving a path to the door. Kyle didn't hesitate. He snatched his shirt from the chair and bolted out into the hallway like a scalded rat, the door slamming shut behind him. Now it was just the two of us in room 520. Chloe collapsed back onto the edge of the cheap mattress, burying her face in her hands, her shoulders heaving with ragged sobs. Ethan, please, she sobbed, looking up at me through smudged mascara. I was stupid. I had cold feet. It was just a stupid mistake, a last moment of weakness. Before I committed my life to you. I love you, Ethan, I really do. Please don't. Cancel the wedding. My mother will kill me. My family will be ruined. I looked down at her. The anger inside me had cooled into something far more dangerous. Absolute, unyielding, absolute zero. Cancel the wedding? If I canceled the wedding tonight, she would spin a story. She would tell her devout Christian relatives that I got cold feet, that I slandered her, that I was an abusive lunatic who abandoned her on the eve of our holy union. Her family would play the martyrs, my family would be dragged through local gossip, and she would walk away with whatever dignity she could scrape together. No. A simple cancellation was a mercy she did not deserve. Cancel the wedding? I echoed, letting a slow, terrifyingly gentle smile spread across my lips. Why would I cancel the wedding, Chloe? She paused, her sobbing instantly cutting off as she stared up at me in disbelief. What? The venue is paid for, I said softly, stepping closer and looking down at her, like a judge reading a sentence to a condemned prisoner. The flowers are set. 500 guests are arriving tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Your mother spent months bragging to the entire church about how pure and holy her daughter is. Ethan, you're forgiving me? She asked, a sliver of desperate hope lighting up her eyes. We're going to get married tomorrow, Chloe, I whispered, leaning down so my lips were inches from her ear. You're going to wear that dress. You're going to walk down that aisle. And you're going to look me in the eye when you take your vows. She swallowed hard, confused, frightened by the unnatural calmness in my voice, but too desperate to question her luck. You mean it? Get up, wash your face, and go back to your hotel, I said, standing tall. I'll see you at the altar. I left the Bear Inn at 1:15 a.m. When I got back into Mason's car, he was staring at his laptop screen with his jaw practically resting on his knees. Ethan. Mason stammered, looking from the screen to me as I sat down in the passenger seat. I watched the whole thing. The audio. The video. It's crisp. HD. You could put this in an IMAX theater. Good. I said, my voice dead. Drive us to my office. Your office? It's past 1 in the morning. Drive, Mason. For the next 5 hours, while the rest of the city slept, I sat behind the desk. In my corporate suite, surrounded by the cold blue light of 3 monitors. Mason brought me black coffee, sitting quietly on the couch, watching me work. With a sense of quiet dread. I didn't waste a single second feeling sorry for myself. Heartbreak is a luxury. For people who don't have a war to win. First, I called my personal attorney, Arthur Vance, waking him up at 2 a.m. Vance had been my family's legal counsel for 20 years. Ethan. Vance's tired voice sounded through the speaker. Is something wrong with the prenuptial agreements for tomorrow? Arthur, I need you to execute 3 things immediately, I said, tapping my fingers on the desk in a steady, rhythmic cadence. First, revoke the financial guarantee letter my father signed for Bennett Logistics, Chloe's father's company. There was a sudden pause on the other end of the line. Ethan, that guarantee is keeping his creditors from filing for bankruptcy on Monday morning. If you pull it now, pull it, I said flatly. Second, freeze the joint account I opened with Chloe last week. Transfer the $300,000 of my personal capital back into my private trust. Third, draft an immediate annulment petition based on fraud and misrepresentation, along with a civil suit for recovery of engagement gifts and damages. Ethan, what happened? Vance asked, his legal tone sharpening. You'll see tomorrow at 11 a.m., I said. Have the papers printed, signed by a notary, and placed in a black leather folder. Bring them to the wedding reception. Understood. Next, I opened my video editing software. I took the high-definition footage recorded from my chest camera inside room 520. I cut it together with surgical precision. Segment 1. The chat logs from the gaming group, showing Kyle Harding bragging about sleeping with a bride-to-be, complete with the back view photo showing the heart-shaped mole behind Chloe's ear. Segment 2. The crystal-clear audio recording of my phone call with Chloe while she was in bed with Kyle, where she claimed she was bumping into a cabinet. Segment 3. The HD video from inside room 520, capturing Chloe's exact words. He's paying for the wedding, he's paying off my car, and his parents are putting the down payment on the house. Once the papers are signed, I don't care what he finds out. Segment 4. The moment she begged on her knees, admitting to everything while trying to gaslight me into staying quiet. I overlaid crisp, bold subtitles over every piece of audio to ensure that even the oldest, hardest of hearing relatives in the back row wouldn't miss a single syllable. I saved the final file as r_love_story_final_version .mp4 and loaded it onto an encrypted flash drive. At 5:30 a.m., the first rays of gray dawn broke over the city skyline. Mason came over and placed a hand on my shoulder. Ethan, you haven't slept a minute. You look like a ghost. I looked at my reflection in the dark glass of the office window. My eyes were bloodshot, surrounded by dark circles, but my hands were steady. There was no tremor, no fear, no hesitation left in me. I'm not a ghost yet, Mason, I said, sliding the flash drive into my inner suit pocket. I'm just waiting for the funeral. By 8 a.m., the Grand St. Regis Hotel was buzzing with activity. The ballroom had been transformed into a botanical wonderland. White orchids, blush roses, crystal chandeliers, and silk runners covered every square inch. The total bill for the venue alone was $80,000, paid entirely by my father's credit card. I stood in the groom's dressing room, wearing my tailored charcoal tuxedo. I adjusted my cufflinks, a gift from Chloe last Christmas, engraved with the words, "Forever yours." A knock came at the door. It was Eleanor Bennett, Chloe's mother. She swept into the room wearing a floor-length lavender lace gown, her hair coiffed into an elaborate tiara braid. She held a heavy, leather-bound Bible in her hand, her face beaming with arrogant, holy pride. "Oh, Ethan," Eleanor chimed, walking over and fussing with my lapels. "Look at you, my future son-in-law. God has truly blessed our families today." I looked down at her, keeping my face completely expressionless. "Has he, Eleanor?" "Of course," she crowed, pressing her palm against my chest. "You know, Ethan, raising Chloe in the church wasn't easy in this filthy modern world. But she stayed pure for you. She guarded her heart and her body just as I taught her. A virtuous woman is worth far more than rubies, Ethan. You are getting a treasure today." I felt a violent spike of dark hilarity rising in my throat, but I forced it down, forcing my lips into a polite, icy curve. "A treasure indeed," I said softly. "I doubt anyone in this city knows her true value as well as I do now." Eleanor beamed, totally oblivious to the knife buried in those words. "Her father is so emotional today. And with your family's financial backing for his firm, we can finally expand our ministry outreach. It's all coming together, under God's plan. Everything will be revealed today, Eleanor. I promise quietly. Every single truth." "Amen," she clapped her hands together joyfully. "Now don't be nervous. Chloe is in the bridal suite, looking like an absolute angel. Go on, take a breath." After Eleanor bustled out, I walked down the carpeted hallway to the bridal suite. I didn't knock. I pushed the door open just enough to see inside through the crack. Chloe was standing in front of the full-length mirror. 3 makeup artists were putting the finishing touches on her face. Her white gown flowed around her like a pristine cloud of innocence. She was smiling at her reflection, admiring her veil, touching her diamond earrings. There was no remorse on her face. No guilt. No terror. Having convinced herself last night that I was too weak, too terrified of public embarrassment to cancel the wedding, she had completely reverted to her arrogant, calculating self. She truly believed she had managed to wriggle out of the trap, that my silence was a sign of my spineless devotion. She caught my eye in the mirror's reflection and turned around, offering me a sweet, timid, innocent smile. "Ethan," she whispered, blowing me a kiss. "Don't look. It's bad luck to see the bride before the ceremony." "Bad luck," I repeated, staring straight into her eyes. "Let's see whose luck runs out first today, Chloe." She gave a small, confused giggle. waving her hand as the stylist giggled with her. I stepped back, pulled the door shut, and walked toward the sanctuary. By 10:30 a.m., the sanctuary was packed to capacity. Over 500 guests sat in the carved mahogany pews. On the bride's side sat Chloe's church community, rows of stern-faced, conservative families in dark suits and modest dresses, murmuring prayers and nodding approvingly at the floral arrangements. On the groom's side sat my family, my business partners, corporate executives, and personal friends. My mother was sitting in the front row, wiping away tears of joy, while my father chatted warmly with the local city councilman. I took my position at the front of the altar, standing beside the minister. Mason stood right next to me as my best man, his face stoic, his hands clasped firmly in front of him. I scanned the crowd. Near the back row, tucked into a dark corner under the shadow of the balcony, sat a man wearing an ill-fitting, rented black suit. It was Kyle Harding. He had actually shown up, whether out of sick curiosity, or because Chloe had given him a guest pass to watch her secure her rich husband. He was there, sitting smugly, crossing his legs as if he owned a piece of the pie. When his eyes met mine from across the long aisle, I gave him a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, suddenly sitting up straighter, a flicker of uneasy doubt crossing his features. Is the AV team ready? I whispered to Mason out of the corner of my mouth. Mason's got the booth locked from the inside. Mason whispered back. He pulled the manager's override plug. Nobody can stop the feed from the main control panel once it starts. The projection screens are primed. Above the altar hung two massive 150-inch motorized projection screens, set up specifically to play the 10-minute love story slideshow that Chloe had spent 3 months designing to show our guests our journey from meeting at college to the altar. It's time, the minister whispered to me, smiling warmly. Shall we begin, Ethan? Whenever you're ready, Pastor, I said, my chest feeling as solid and cold as marble. Let the show begin. The heavy oak doors at the back of the sanctuary swung open. The grand pipe organ swelled into the opening chords of Wagner's bridal chorus. The congregation stood up in unison, turning their heads toward the entrance. There she was. Chloe Bennett walked down the white silk aisle on the arm of her father, Arthur Bennett. She held a bouquet of pure white lilies against her stomach. Her veil fluttered softly around her shoulders, hiding her face in a delicate mist of tulle. She walked slowly, gracefully, taking measured steps, looking every bit the pristine, godly virgin her family claimed her to be. Her mother, Eleanor, wiped tears from her eyes in the front row, clutching her prayer book to her chest like a trophy. As Chloe reached the foot of the altar, her father took her hand, kissed her cheek, and placed her hand into mine. Her skin was cool. Her fingers trembled slightly, but when she looked up at me, through her veil, she gave me a small, reassuring, triumphant wink. You see? Her eyes seemed to say, we made it. You're mine and your money is mine. I held her hand, but I didn't squeeze it. I didn't offer a smile. Dearly beloved, the minister began, his deep, resonant voice echoing through the vaulted ceiling of the sanctuary. We are gathered here today in the sight of God, and in the face of this company, to join together this man and this woman in holy matrimony. The minister spoke for 10 minutes about duty, faith, purity, and lifelong commitment. Chloe listened attentively, nodding softly at every mention of fidelity and godly submission. And now, the minister smiled, looking at the congregation. Before the exchange of vows, the bride and groom have prepared a special presentation, a celebration of their love, their purity, and their journey together. Ethan, if you would like to do the honors. The minister handed me the wireless microphone and the master remote control. The congregation let out an affectionate ah. My mother pulled out a tissue, preparing to cry at the sweet memories. Eleanor leaned back in her pew with a self-satisfied smile. Chloe looked at me, her cheeks dimpling under her veil. Ethan, she whispered softly, I love you. I didn't answer her. I turned toward the congregation. I held the microphone to my lips. Thank you everyone for coming today. My voice rang through the high-end sound system, crystal clear, reaching every corner of the church. Before I take these vows, I think it's only right that everyone in this room understands the true nature of the bond Chloe and I share. Chloe's smile wavered slightly. A subtle line of confusion etched between her brows. Some of you know Chloe as a devout, conservative woman. I continued, my voice steady, unhurried, terrifyingly articulate. Her family knows her as a pure, holy daughter. But over the last 24 hours, I've learned that Chloe is so much more than that. She is a woman of incredible secret talents. And today, I want to make sure her family and her church give her the recognition she truly deserves. A quiet, confused murmur rippled through the pews. Eleanor's smile stiffened in the front row. Chloe took a step back, her eyes widening behind her veil. Ethan, what are you doing? Press play on the slideshow. Oh, I am pressing play, Chloe, I said gently. I aimed the remote control at the ceiling and clicked the red button. The heavy overhead lights in the sanctuary dimmed instantly. The two giant projection screens hummed as they lit up with bright white light, casting an eerie glow over the 500 guests sitting in the dark. For the first 2 seconds, the screen showed a lovely, high-res photo of Chloe and me standing on a beach during our engagement party, smiling under the setting sun. Soft, romantic piano music played through the speakers. The audience relaxed. A few people chuckled softly, assuming my speech was just an eccentric lead-in to a romantic joke. Then, the piano music cut out with a sharp, sickening audio screech. The screen flickered, turning jet black. Bold, red text appeared across both 150-inch screens. Exhibit A. The night before the wedding. A collective gasp echoed through the room. Before anyone could process what was happening, a massive high-definition screenshot filled the screen. It was the chat log from the gaming group, showing Kyle Harding's profile, his filthy messages, and the photo of the bride in her lace wedding dress, her hem lifted, revealing the heart-shaped mole behind her ear. What is that? Someone in the third row shouted. Is that Chloe? A woman gasped. Eleanor Bennett bolted upright in her pew, her face turning purple. Stop this. Who is messing with the projector? Turn that filth off. Chloe froze as if she had been hit by a lightning bolt. She lunged toward me, reaching desperately for the remote in my hand. Ethan, stop it. Stop it right now. Mason stepped smoothly between us, blocking her path with his bulk, holding her back with an iron shoulder. Look at the screen, Chloe, I said coldly through the microphone. We're just getting to the good part. The audio track kicked in over the sanctuary's concert-grade sound system. It was the phone call I had made to Chloe from the barren restroom. Her voice bounced off the stained glass windows, magnified 100 times. It's almost all cleaned up. What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm fine. I accidentally bumped into the cabinet. Simultaneously, a second window opened on the screen. A recorded audio wave, matched with the real-time group chat posts from Kyle Harding. My ex-girlfriend was wearing a wedding dress and talking to her own husband on the phone while she was under me, and damn, that felt incredible, haha. The entire sanctuary erupted into utter, unimaginable chaos. Guests stood up from their seats, screaming in horror. Chloe's religious relatives were gasping, covering their daughter's eyes, while others were glued to the screen in morbid, terrified fascination. My father stood up, his face thunderous, staring at Chloe with pure disgust. Turn it off. Turn it off. Arthur Bennett, Chloe's father, roared, rushing toward the AV booth at the back of the church. He slammed his fists against the locked wooden door, but Mason's assistant inside ignored him completely, turning the master volume knob all the way to the maximum. Then came Exhibit B. The screens shifted from static images to 4K high-definition video. It was the chest cam footage inside room 520. The room watched in deafening, horrifying detail as Chloe sat on the edge of the cheap motel bed, her rehearsal dress unzipped, laughing as she spoke to Kyle. He's so stupid, Kyle. He's paying for the wedding, he's paying off my car. And his parents are putting the down payment on the house in North Hills next week. Once the papers are signed, I don't care what he finds out. The words tore through the church like an artillery shell. Eleanor Bennett let out a blood-curdling shriek, collapsed back into her pew, and fainted dead away, her heavy Bible slipping from her fingers and thudding onto the floorboards. Chloe sank to her knees right on the altar stage. Her veil fell back, revealing a face twisted into a mask of pure, ugly, unadulterated horror. She wept, hysterically, clutching at the hem of her white dress, looking around at 500 people who were watching her absolute humiliation play out in ultra-high definition. Ethan, please. Ethan. She sobbed, reaching out toward my shiny tuxedo shoes, her voice pathetic, destroyed. I stepped back, looking down at her as if she were a dead bug on the sidewalk. The video on screen reached its crescendo, showing the exact moment I entered the room, catching her begging on her knees, admitting to her extortion scheme, her gaslighting, and her absolute lack of morality. The video ended. The screens flickered back to black, displaying 3 final words in white font. The wedding is cancelled. The silence that followed the end of the video was heavier than death. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The organist sat at his bench, his hands hovering over the keys, frozen in shock. 500 pairs of eyes were locked onto the stage, staring at the ruined, sobbing bride sitting on the carpet and the cold, unyielding groom standing over her. I dropped the remote onto the floor. It shattered into 3 pieces against the hardwood. I brought the microphone back up to my mouth. As you can all see, my voice drifted smoothly across the silent room. The pure, virtuous woman you all came to celebrate today does not exist. I turned my head and looked directly at the back row, pointing my finger toward the shadowed balcony. And for those of you wondering who the co-star of today's feature was, he's sitting in row 24, seat B, Kyle Harding. Security, please ensure Mr. Harding remains on the premises until the police arrive to question him regarding fraud and extortion charges. 4 heavy-set security guards I had personally hired for the morning immediately surged down the back aisle, pinning Kyle against the wall before he could even reach the exit doors. He yelled and struggled, but they handcuffed him quickly, dragging him out into the lobby. Chloe was hyperventilating now, clutching her chest, her expensive makeup running down her face in black streams. Her father, Arthur, stumbled back up the aisle toward the stage, his face pale, trembling with rage and ruin. "Ethan," Arthur yelled, his voice cracking. "How could you do this? You ruined my daughter in front of everyone. You ruined our family. You ruined yourselves, Arthur," I said, my tone as cold as an iron grave. "Oh, and by the way, Arthur Vance, my attorney, is standing at the back of the church." Vance stepped forward, wearing a sharp gray suit, holding a thick black leather folder. "At 8 a.m. this morning," I continued into the microphone, "my family officially revoked the financial guarantee for Bennett Logistics. As of 10 minutes ago, your primary creditors have been notified of your insolvency. Furthermore, my legal team has filed a formal civil suit against your family for $300,000 in damages, recovery of engagement gifts, and intentional fraud." Arthur's eyes went wide. He clutched at his collar, stumbling backward as if he had been struck in the chest. You ruined my business, my life's work. You built your life's work on my money and your daughter's lies," I replied coldly. "You can discuss the rest with my lawyers." I turned back to Chloe. She looked up at me through her ruined makeup, her lips trembling, her hands clawing at the carpet. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, give me one more chance." I unclipped the white orchid boutonniere from my tuxedo lapel. I held it above her head for a second, then let it drop. It landed softly in the mess of her spilled veil. "You wanted a wild night before marriage, Chloe," I whispered, so only she could hear me over the low hum of the sanctuary sound system. "Consider this my wedding gift to you." I handed the microphone to the stunned minister, turned my back on the weeping bride, and walked down the center aisle. The crowd parted for me like the Red Sea. Friends, relatives, business associates. Nobody dared touch me, nobody dared speak a word. They looked at me with a mixture of terror, respect, and awe. Mason walked right beside me, throwing his arm around my shoulder as we reached the double oak doors at the entrance. My father met me at the door. He didn't yell. He didn't scold me. He placed his heavy hand on my back, looked into my bloodshot eyes, and nodded once with deep, unyielding pride. "Good job, son," my father whispered. "Let's go home." 3 months later, the afternoon sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my new penthouse apartment overlooking the harbor. The air was cool, clean, and quiet. I sat at my glass desk, sipping a cup of black coffee, looking over the final court documents spread out before me. The fallout from that Sunday morning had been absolute and devastating. The video from the wedding had somehow been leaked onto the internet by one of the guests, though I certainly didn't complain, and had gone viral within 48 hours. Chloe Bennett had become a national pariah. She had deleted all her social media accounts, resigned from her teaching job, and moved out of the state to escape the relentless public mockery. Bennett Logistics filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy 2 weeks after the wedding. Their assets were liquidated, and their home was put up for auction to satisfy their mounting debts. Kyle Harding was currently serving a 14-month sentence in county jail for extortion and unauthorized distribution of private intimate media, after my legal team pushed the local prosecutor to pursue the maximum penalty. As for me, I took the $300,000 from the joint account and invested it into expanding my firm's overseas operations. My business was thriving, my head was clear, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely, undeniably free. A soft knock came at my office door. Mason walked in holding 2 cold beers. "Hey boss," Mason grinned, tossing one of the bottles to me. "Just got off the phone with Vance. The final annulment decree came through. You are officially, legally 100% single again." I caught the bottle, popped the cap off against the edge of the desk, and raised it toward the open window. "To fresh starts," I said. "To fresh starts." Mason clinked his bottle against mine. He looked at me, taking a long sip, then shook his head with a faint smile. "You know, Ethan, sometimes I still think about that night at the bachelor party. You went from being the most gullible guy in the room to an absolute villain in less than 12 hours. I looked out at the harbor, watching the yachts cut through the blue water under the bright afternoon sun. "I wasn't a villain, Mason," I said softly, feeling the cool amber liquid slide down my throat. "I was just a man who decided that if someone drags you into a theater of lies, You might as well take control of the projector.